So, okay. I wanna circle more around your writing process, but let's do that while talking about your new book that is launching tomorrow.
Yeah.
And as promised, I will not do a summary of your biography or your book. So, if you would tell the esteemed audience what they need to know about The Shape of Thunder that they're ordering right now as we speak.
Perfect. Well, thank you in advance for ordering it as we speak. So, The Shape of Thunder is the story of two girls, Cora Hamed and Quinn McCauley. And Cora and Quinn have been best friends their entire life. They live next door to one another. But the book begins at the start of their 7th grade year. And Cora and Quinn haven't spoken to one another in almost a year at this point when the book starts. And in the first chapter, Cora receives kind of a mysterious box from Quinn on her doorstep. And this box is filled with time travel articles. And you see Cora and Quinn's friendship has become fractured because of this tragedy that happened in their small Ohio town. A school shooting happened at the high school of their town. And Cora has been existing in her separate world of grief, mourning the loss of her older sister, Mabel. And Quinn has been grappling with the guilt over her brother's violent actions. But Quinn has given Cora this box of research about time travel because Quinn has become convinced that it is possible to find a wormhole in the fabric of the universe, travel back in time, and stop her brother and fix everything that happened. And at first, Cora is furious. She thinks this is really insulting and ridiculous of Quinn. But Cora, as Quinn knows, has always been interested in time travel and is kind of the brainier friend, whereas Quinn is the more like imaginative, dreamy friend. So at first, Cora wants to write this off as something that's like really fanciful of Quinn's. But as she reads through the article, she realizes that this could be real, that this is actual science. And so the girls begin to work together to try to find a wormhole, and they target their search in the forest. And so the book is about their quest to time travel and fix everything, but it's also a book about the magic of friendship, and it's a book about grief and what it means to lose someone that you love. And most of all, it's a book about kind of the trauma of gun violence and what it's like to grow up as a kid today in America with this kind of present threat of violence. So, yeah, I don't really have a good polished pitch. So all of you got to hear kind of the more rambly, organic pitch of it. But I prefer that for this book because this is kind of my messy book. It's sort of my big questions book that combines a lot of things. And the last thing I'll say is the book, in lots of ways, is sort of my homage to The Bridge to Terabithia, which is a book that was like my very favorite book when I was a kid, because it was a book that was honest with me about how hard life can be. And I wanted to write a book that was going to be really honest with young people and challenging. And I hope that in that way is empowering and makes them feel like they have the ability, to fix our world, to change our world. Because I really think young people are the ones who are going to help us find a better way forward. So that, I guess, is kind of what this book is about. And I'm sure if Ro eventually sees this, she will want me to get better at having a more succinct pitch. But that is the pitch for now.
Oh, I think that's perfect. And I think we're going to make it a little bit ramblier, hopefully, before we're done. some rambly questions about it. Starting with, I love this idea that maybe that this book, this subject might be too mature for children. Like, no, we don't want to upset or traumatize you. Now, please put your things away so we can prepare for this active shooter drill throughout your school day, and keep your mask on so you don't get the deadly virus that could kill you and everyone you love. But otherwise, focus on childhood innocence. Aside from that, so a book like this, you typically start with character. Here, you've got two characters. So what comes to you first? Because just hearing you describe it and reading it seems, because of where we're catching up to the characters, it seems almost situational driven, but I know that must not be, because it is a tremendous situation that kind of overshadows everything, their relationship to each other, and the way that's been affected by the actions of this brother. Where do you start? Do you hear one character, both characters? Where does your idea come from, and how does it present itself?
Yeah, so actually for this book, the first idea that I was like, wow, I want to write a book about, gun violence for a younger audience, came from realizing that soon my oldest daughter was going to go to school and that she was going to participate in active shooter drills, and not knowing how I would talk to her about it, and then being frustrated by the rhetoric you're talking about, which is we act as if our kids live in a silo and somehow they don't know that these things are going on, or that our young people also aren't affected when these tragedies happen in their communities. And so I was thinking on that, and really quickly Cora's character came to me as a girl who had lost her sibling in a school shooting. And I thought it was going to be just a straight up grief book about what it means to lose your sister and to go through that. And all of a sudden Quinn came, and at first Quinn didn't have a viewpoint, but she was just Cora's best friend, and Cora was estranged from her. And then I was like, oh my goodness, this is why they're estranged, because I was thinking a lot about the ways these acts of violence fracture communities long after the cameras have left, right? That these oftentimes are, families that lived close to one another, who are going through loss and these different sides of the loss, right? And so that became, that kind of stuck in my brain. And then I realized, wow, what I really want to do is I want this to be a dual POV book. I want to go through both girls' experiences, and in that maybe form a fuller picture of what kind of questions I'm trying to ask. But Cora definitely was my first character, and her loss of her sister was the clearest thing to me that first, I guess, came to me. But the rest kind of filled in. And, I think that at the time I separately was really interested, we talked a little bit about the concept of time travel. And so it kind of serendipitously collided, right? I was thinking about the responsibility our young people feel to fix this problem that should not be theirs to fix. And I think that this idea of wanting to time travel to fix it just came to me because it was born out of that wondering of why are we hoisting all of this responsibility onto our young people with, you're saying, the lockdown drills. They feel this need that suddenly it's their job to barricade themselves and their classmates, that this is what we've come up with as the solution to this problem, and how kind of ineffectual that seems to me. And so, I think all of those things kind of collided to create this sort of messy and complicated narrative. But Cora was first, and then I figured out her relationship with Quinn, and then Quinn had the plot, which is, I guess, what you're always looking for. So Quinn gave me the plot.